Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Hello and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Ask Dr. Mumbi. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life truly on your own terms, reporting live and direct from the hot sun right at the equator, beloveds, at the center of the world, at the foothills of Mount Zion, as we watch Babylon fall and our ancient kingdoms rise once again. Selah. So, I did a show a couple of weeks ago on agents and allies and how to know whether someone is an agent in your life, which means they're literally there to steal, kill, and destroy your dreams, your passions, your opportunities, your men or your women. They're just not there for the right reason. And allies are literally just part of your soul family that come to help you along your awakening journey and help to elevate you. And usually they'll also come and help you get out of a dangerous situation. Definitely check that video out if you haven't already. The rooster's agreeing. And from that video, I got a lot of questions where people were asking, how do I know if I have an agent in my life? Some were saying, I feel like I'm getting bad vibes from my spouse. I feel like I'm getting bad vibes from this sister. We've never gotten along. I feel my brother could be going to the juju man. All kinds of stories. I've gotten a lot of emails, so I decided to, finally address it. And what you need to realize is that, an agent is basically the opposer of your soul. They're an opponent. Like if you're playing sports, that's the opposition, beloveds. And literally, it's very intricate. You've probably had lives together before. You did them wrong in one life, then they did you wrong in another life. And so there's all this intricacy, or, maybe love was unfulfilled in one life and they're just pursuing you lifetime after lifetime. I mean, if you've seen enough of these Babylon sci-fi kind of movies, you can follow what I'm saying. But they're very, very heavy relationships, and usually they're there as a lesson, beloveds. And we have to overcome them. They're very difficult relationships, because most of them are family. Most of them are our mothers. Most of them are our fathers who we've had just really toxic relationships with, that it's not so simple for us to walk away. It's not like a friend or, an acquaintance who you can just, drop and keep it moving. And so signs that you're dealing with an agent, beloveds, is first of all, usually there's an incredible bond. Either you've known each other all your lives, so it's a family member. Most of our agents are in our families. And so there's this bond that's very hard to break, maybe because society tells us our biological families are the only families, we have to honor them, they're our family here. There's so much hype around it, where you're supposed to, kind of endure all this abuse and pain just because they're family, and all this stuff about blood is thicker than water, etc., etc. And if it's not something where your agent is a family member, then it's someone who you have, like, if you do meet them at some point or another, it will be an instant connection. You'll almost feel like, it's like you've known the person before, and it feels so good before it turns so bad, and there's this instant connection. You feel like you understand each other, and so the first meeting can be like magical. But then, there's also this feeling from early off that something is off. You see, because beloveds, a lot of us are so spiritually gifted. And in order to be spiritually gifted, you have to be very spiritually sensitive. And so there's so many things that we pick up from our environment, from people, and I notice it because I always used to ask people, what's wrong? What's wrong? And they'd be like, listen, why are you always asking, well, how are you doing? How's everything going? And I didn't realize it's because I was sensing the mood. I was literally, reading the wave of their thoughts. But for so long, I was made to feel like, why are you asking that? Like, are you paranoid of your, are you paranoid? Why do you keep asking those questions? But I had to recognize that there was a sensitivity that has never been acknowledged by anybody. Only my spiritual team that is now making me aware of myself. But there was, a spiritual sensitivity, which is a form of power that had not been acknowledged. So I used to misinterpret it, and other people's paranoia would almost make me paranoid. I know there's people like me. I know there's kindred spirits like me, so who can totally relate to what I'm saying. And it's only now that having reached an advanced stage in my spiritual kind of journey, that I'm able to realize, I'm able to read people's thoughts. I'm able to read their vibe and feel when they're off. And sometimes they could be off towards me. Sometimes they could be just having a negative thought about anybody. But I pick that up. So how do I refine that gift? Because these are signs of the awakening of the gifts. But I totally digress. But you will always feel there's something off. Beloveds. And and most of the time, that person won't be able to look at you straight in the eye. If you really try and agents can't look at you like this, beloveds. They can't. There's so much, they just can't, because they're either in a state of jealousy, they're in a state of envy, they're in a state of maybe some kind of subconscious pain because of maybe a previous life debt. I mean, all kinds of things, but they're always looking at you, wanting what you have, and wanting to almost consume you, kind of thing. So you've always felt that a bit off about this person, yeah. You're tight, but you're not tight, that kind of vibe. And things will feel off early on. And if this is family, then you've known from childhood that this person was the enemy of your soul. And sometimes it was your own mother or it was your own father, and there was absolutely nothing you could do about it in that situation. But now as an adult, you can't continue having an agent in your life, especially when your spiritual team identifies one, and the thing is, another thing that happens is there's always a lot of drama. From the start, there's just a lot of drama, a lot of ups and downs, and it puts a lot of self-doubt in you, beloveds, where you start to question, is it me? Am I over dramatic, or am I just too picky? Am I this? You start trying to dismantle yourself, because there's always a clash, and it's always a subtle clash. You can call it a miscommunication, but there's always a lot of drama in the relationship. When it's good, it's awesome. But when it's bad, it's just your spirit will be telling you, you have a toxic person in your life, get them out. But you'll almost think, is it me? Is it them? And it's because there's a lesson there, beloveds, and there's a cord there. And so until you learn the lesson, you can't cut that cord. And so that's why it's so important to understand, why is this agent here? Because my spiritual team would only allow them to be here if they were for my highest good. Otherwise, they'd never get through. So if I understand that my team doesn't allow anyone who's coming to destroy me into my life, especially anyone who's spiritually lower, because you can protect yourself from anyone who's spiritually lower from you. And you can call on the assistance of spirit to help you with those who may be spiritually at par or higher. But most of the agents are spiritually lower than you, but they've kind of hidden and masked themselves. But bottom line is, beloveds, agents, but it's you almost don't want to admit it to yourself. You almost don't want to accept the truth, because it's like your kryptonite. You have a love-hate relationship with that person. Let me know if this is flowing, and if there's any other signs of, you're dealing with an agent. Some people may call it a karmic, Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Welcome back, beloveds, to Ask Dr. Mumbi on Dr. Mumbi's Spiritual Show. You can always send me a question, Dr. Mumbi at drmumbishow.com. You guys, please don't send me news articles. Please don't send me YouTube links. I'm out of the matrix. apart from what I'm doing here right now, this is like the least interaction I have with the Matrix. Otherwise, I'm in my farm doing my thing. So I'm rarely watching videos. I'm rarely into the news because Babylon is falling and I don't want them to go with any of my energy. Special shout out, of course, to our Patreon family. I absolutely appreciate love each and every one of you for supporting us on that platform. How do I know if I'm dealing with an agent? First of all, what's an agent? I don't even know if I said that in the, before the break. An agent is someone who's out to kill, steal, and destroy, beloveds. They want to destroy your dreams. They want to snatch away your opportunities. They want to snatch away your wife. They want to destroy every vision you have. They'll make you feel like, when you suggest something that you want to do, they'll just, before you've even gotten out, it's still at the idea stage. They'll be like, nah, that can't work. Nah, man, nah, just nah, and they're just so afraid that you'll get ahead of them. But the only reason they're around you is because they're a lesson. And once you learn that lesson, you can cut that cord. Because usually it's an energy, beloveds. And I don't know if you'll see this, especially if you've been attracting a kind of, a karmic, romantic kind of partner. You attract the same kind of person over and over and over again. And you kind of go through the same cycle. Because that's another thing about the agent. It's so repetitive. You always just go through, you're super happy with one another, you have a miscommunication, they overreact, you feel guilty, you feel bad, you have a communication where they often make you feel like, you're the problem is actually you and you did this wrong and you did that wrong. And then, you end up forgiving them. And then you start again where you're happy and then you have an argument. And it's like, it's a cycle. And somehow we always take the same roles. So if you're the victim, they'll always make you the victim. You know what I mean? And there's always the authority figure. So everyone always kind of takes the same kind of roles. And if you're on the other side of the spectrum where you're having these kind of karmic relationships with people and you're on the lower level trying to control, kill, steal, and destroy, then level up, beloveds, because the system, you're going to be one of the first ones that the system gets. Because the system is getting those who are of lower consciousness. It's nothing about, there is a particular part in bloodlines, but it's not just about bloodlines, beloveds. So that's really important to overstand, understand, and understand. They're here to kill, steal, and destroy. If they can't kill a dream, they'll try steal the dream. If they can't steal the dream, they'll try destroy the dream. If they can, kill your character, they'll try and steal your character. If they can't steal your character, then they'll try and destroy your character with others. And I'm sure women, we've had those kind of girlfriends who, you may have not known they were trying to kill your character, but they try to be like you. They try to do this, your sworn enemy. And then when that failed, when the mimicking failed, they went around talking trash. I mean, we've all had these agents in our lives. And the thing is, identify them quickly and move them out of your life as quickly as possible. And the way you move them out of your life is you learn the lesson. Is there something in you that they're reflecting? Is there a brokenness in you that is kind of still keeping you guys connected? Because I'm not saying that we're all of us who are on this other side are perfect, but we're courageous, we're bold. We're different because we're taking steps to refining and improving and uplifting and elevating our character. So sometimes when you get these low vibe agents around you, it's because there's something in you that needs to be refined. And what I found is like, the more I released, whether it was the trait, the characteristic of anger or the characteristic of, being extremely impatient, whatever, it's like whenever I released that thing, that person would fall off from my life. But whenever I fought that person, they get more ingrained and we'd get in this, I'd be in the dirt with swine, literally. And that's the thing, because agents are really addictive. I mentioned this before the break. They're like kryptonite. And, you always, there's a craving of their company because there is a familiarity. Because you've had this back and forth before, probably in a previous life. Or maybe even in your spiritual world, but it's so addictive where you just, you want to walk away, but you can't. You want to just, and it becomes very consuming. Like you can, and it doesn't have to be just romantic relationships. Like you can meet a new girlfriend, at a party, and then you guys decide to go somewhere to, to go get your hair done together, the following week, and then all of a sudden you guys are the bestest of friends, hanging out with together 24/7. Like there is sleep over here, sleep over there, being that each other's wing woman, etc., etc. So it's like and the relationship. People may look and be like, it doesn't make sense, but I guess let them do what they need to do. And we've all had that where you'll be friends with a certain girlfriend, and those people close to you will be like, she's not really good for you, man. Like, you're above her or whatever. You're not on the same vibe. Like if you passed that level so before, but because it's so addictive, you keep kind of finding a lot yourself going back. And this relationship, as I mentioned before, beloveds, it has so many highs and lows, like up and down. And you see, to operate in any kind of true power, you just need balance, just smooth sailing. And they've made, smooth sailing, balance seem, like boring, like yeah, boring, or something like you shouldn't want, or something that lacks flavor, when it has all the flavor. Because from a place of peace is where you operate in true power, which is why we're always being kept in unease and dis-ease, so that we can't tap into our power. So the best place to be is to be operating from a place of calm and peace. And these people will always throw us off. And when you're thrown off, you can't hear your spiritual counsel. You can't even hear your own thoughts. And this is what happens with this relationship. It becomes so like, consuming, and the highs and lows. And then it always becomes codependent. I can't leave. And it becomes codependent quickly, where you kind of need each other, and you kind of create almost false routines together, where, oh, we have to do this together, we have to do that. If I'm going if I'm going here, and I have to invite so and so, you know what I mean? Like you just almost like you need their energy, they need your energy, and it doesn't feel right, beloveds. It always feels off. Another thing is, agents will always shine a light on your fears. Always. They'll always bring your fears and your low vibing, energies to the surface. And you'll always find like you're almost always out of character when you're around them. Like you're this supreme creative being who's made all this progress. And then you'll hang out with them, and even the conversation, the level of conversation or gossip that you have with one another just is totally not who you know you are. It's totally off. And that's one of the things, is like they really do, they shine out your fears, and any past traumas. They're always bringing that into light. And especially if you share any like deep stories, whenever they feel like you're getting out of that trauma bond relationship, they'll remind you, oh, remember when your mama did this and your mama did that, and kind of take you back in that place, so that they can hook you again and kind of keep you there. So they keep you stay in the muck because of your fears, and they're able to trigger those and make you feel like you guys have trauma bonded, because you cried on their shoulder, and they had and they also they shared their deepest darkest secret, and you shared your deepest darkest secrets. And the thing is, beloveds, this whole thing, if you notice, you'll always feel exhausted, and you can't explain why. Like after hanging out with them, especially if you start your awakening journey and they're not doing their awakening journey, whenever you hang out with them, you'll literally go home and need to take a nap. Or you'll hang out with them and you'll get a headache, but you'll just constantly feel exhausted. Sometimes you may not even peg it to that. You may be like, oh, I'm overworking, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, stress of, everything that's happening. But if you were to look more closely, it's just that you're in this extremely, draining, codependent, toxic relationship with an agent who is just delaying you, distracting you with a bit to destroy you and make sure that ultimately you get nowhere. And I could go on and on, but if you're dealing with an agent, beloveds, the first step to getting free of them is identifying them. Then ask your spiritual team why they're there. because there's a lesson to why they're there. Maybe there's something you need to work on yourself, or maybe they want to show you a weakness that you're always drawn to, in other people, so that you cut that off, and you're not, that hemorrhaging of energy, and you cut those type of people from your life once and for good, once for all, once and for good, So I think I'll leave it there, beloveds. Until next time. Tuko pamoja.